Welcome to Mesa Now. I'm your host, Chris Brady.
And I'm Lily King-Cisneros.
On this episode of Mesa Now, we're going to talk about the city's initiative to end veterans' homelessness.
And I'll show you a Mesa business that's taking that extra step in helping serve our veterans.
So stay right there because Mesa Now starts right now. Joining me now is District 4 Councilmember Chris Glover. Councilmember, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me on, Mr. Brady. I appreciate it.
So, Councilmember, we've been talking, today's show, we want to talk about the city's initiative regarding veterans' homelessness. So tell us a little bit about, you're participating in the task force to help with this initiative. So talk to us a little bit about the initiative in itself. What is this initiative? Ending veterans' homelessness. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm really privileged to work with my colleague, Councilmember Thompson. This is an issue that's very near and dear to both of our hearts, and we wanted to identify veterans that are homeless in the City of Mesa and to provide them services so that they can contribute to society once again. And what we chose was the Housing First model, where we find housing for the veterans and help them get stabilized, and then we're able to provide wraparound services. I know that in my capacity, I work to help identify local nonprofits that could meet the needs of the veterans. And Councilmember Thompson worked with the VA and veterans groups, since he is a veteran, to help with those services. And we've been able to house 70 veterans so far in the City of Mesa, and we're really proud of that.
That's great, Councilmember. And so what a great initiative to take on for the city. And as I understand it, part of the task force that you and the Councilmember Thompson are heading up is bringing together a lot of nonprofit groups who have interests and maybe have some resources that have been working individually on this, but kind of bringing them all together to kind of get moving together in the same direction. So tell us a little bit about some of those nonprofits that are working together on this initiative.
Yeah. One of the biggest nonprofits and community partners that we've had has been Community Bridges with their Navigator program, and the Navigator is a former veteran themselves, and it helps the homeless veteran navigate the system so then they can feel that they have somebody that knows where they've been and what they're going through. And they have been a huge partner in helping provide those wraparound services. Paz de Cristo has been another huge one, helping identify veterans that come and utilize their services, whether it's for meals or to get information for state IDs. And we've been able to have the disabled American veterans and veterans of foreign wars step in to help veterans in the process. A New Leaf, Save the Family, and the Mark Center have been instrumental in helping find housing and shelter for our veterans, either short-term or long-term. And we've been very grateful for our congressional delegation with Congressman Matt Salmon, Congresswoman Kyrsten Sinema, and Senator John McCain, and their efforts to help bring attention and results to this program. We're also really grateful for the Chamber, because on our end, we're looking to help house veterans and to bring them back into society. The Chamber has gone out there and started a program that will help veterans so that they can find jobs when they immediately get back from their service to our country. And I'm really grateful for Sally Harrison and the work that she's done to help in this program.
Wonderful. So, Councilor, obviously with your leadership and the Councilmember Thompson's leadership, bringing all these groups together is significant because there's a lot of resources out there to move this forward. And you've talked about some of the things that are going on today. Looking forward, kind of what's your vision as this moves into the future, as it continues to go? Even though you said, as you said, remarkably, we've been able to house 70 veterans, I'm assuming there's still a lot of work to be done.
There will always be work to do, and so going forward, there are a lot of goals that we want to have in place. We want to work regionally to create one unified system to track veterans and the services that they need. And this will be working with other communities and other partners in our communities and in the valley so that we can help all veterans. And then identifying services for vets who don't qualify for VASH vouchers, making sure that they can still get the services that they need if they served our country. And Community Bridges is doing an excellent job at helping them find those services and provide them. We're also seeking added housing opportunities, and so reaching out to different groups and landlords to see what we can do to create these partnerships for these veterans. And then we want to ensure a long-term sustainable approach in Mesa, where the City of Mesa will always have an active role, but we want really the nonprofit community to take ownership of this and to lead the way, and the city will always be there to help.
Wow, thank you so much. That's amazing that all these groups coming together. There's a lot of resources, but there's a lot of needs out there, as you've identified. I think the one thing that's been remarkable is talking about, I'm kind of give an example, even though we can find housing for a veteran and get them in a housing with a voucher, or find a place for them to live, there's so much more that they need help with, whether it's just finding jobs, finding other activities, maybe helping them with there may be physical or emotional rehabilitation that needs to take place. So I think the work that you and the council are doing is really wrapping all those services around. And I remember when Senator McCain was here with the gentleman that was being recognized then, and he had a navigator. Tell us just briefly, as you understand it, how that program has worked with a navigator. You mentioned it a little bit, but I think that's important for everyone to understand. This is a program that's not just about putting someone in a shelter, but it really is to try to take care of all their needs.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most innovative programs that Community Bridges offers, and it has a small footprint and can be replicated anywhere. They have navigators, and they're all former servicemen and women, so that they go out and that they can work individually with each and every veteran. And it goes through every step and process when they're trying to reintegrate back into society from their military service. And they take them to first find housing, they help them navigate the VA and all of its processes, they help them get to doctor's appointments, they help them manage their time, their schedule, their medication, and whatever they need, that person is there for them so that they know that they have somebody that they can be connected to that really wants to help them see them succeed. And being former veterans, they can really relate to the individuals that they are helping.
Wonderful. Councilor, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate all the work that you and Councilor Thompson are doing with the veterans. We want to thank both the council member and the mayor for what they're doing to bring all these groups together, and thank them for their dedication to our veterans here in the City of Mesa.
Richard Thompson, owner of Valley Express Auto Repair and Towing, is doing more than just repairing cars. He's repairing hope.
So I'd been watching for the right vehicle, and we had gotten a van in that needed a little bit of repairs, and we'd done some other repairs to it to make sure when we gave it to somebody it wouldn't be coming right back in on a tow truck. But my mechanic joined in and donated his time, and we fixed it up nice, and we're able to donate it. And we got, in the meantime, fixing that one, we had another one that came in, and they're almost identical vans. So we donated both. We donated one to the veteran and one to the East Valley Men's Center.
Our vans are old and they have a lot of miles and they frequently break down. Richard gave us a van and that he completely renovated, and so we have something that's in really, really good shape. You know, his generosity to, he didn't know us or the veteran was just incredible. And this veteran was, you know, having to take the bus back and forth and with his kids and trying to coach his children. And so for him to be homeless and drug and alcohol free for 68 days and write a letter that touched Richard and resulted in him receiving a van, it was just unbelievable. It was just this incredible blessing.
Thompson's family also served in the military and understands how difficult it may be when veterans transition home.
There's a lot of veterans in my family, and I've seen as they've gotten older how the veterans programs work, and I just want, one of the reasons I feel like this is an important program, because I don't think we're doing our best for our veterans. And I realized that all these businesses, whatever business you're in, you have something you can donate or some way of helping, whether it's time, money, a van, auto repair, whatever it is, you know, if they don't know about it, you know, they wouldn't know that that's available to be done.
They just couldn't believe the fact that a community member would be giving a van to one of our veterans. I mean, it's just unbelievable to them. And even though it was one veteran, the other 93 guys walked away from that presentation with hope.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Sally Harrison with the Chamber of Commerce and Drew Trojanowski, who's with the Mesa Veterans Program Coordinator. Welcome to the both of you and being here.
Thanks for having us. Happy New Year.
Same to you. Drew, let's start with you first. You oversee the Veterans Program with the Chamber, is that correct?
Correct.
So what does that mean? What does that entail? What is your responsibilities?
Well, the total program is kind of to fill in the gaps. So the city has its own initiative, and then it's trying to figure out, you know, what additional resources would be needed. And for us, the biggest gap that we've found would be employment. And so trying to help out, you know, both the veterans that exist and the constituency base that we have, the businesses that are around. And the area where we found there's probably the biggest room for growth where we can be impactful for both sets would be on-the-job training and apprenticeships. And then also direct credentialing to figure out how to get guys employed.
Okay.
So with the apprenticeship and OTJ, we just started a pilot. We have a local business that's a defense contractor, and they need to hire a bunch of guys. And so one of the things that we did was reached out to some of the units that are here in the state locally, some of the guard guys, and said, you know, typically this is who they poach from. Would you be interested in getting employed over here? And the reason we feel like this is an area for growth is that I started looking into the DOL reports on apprenticeships and on-the-job training, and our state has about 103 programs, and Virginia brought 1,300 online last year. And I was like, wow, there's a big gap right there. And that was only reinforced by the Office of Government Accountability, the GAO office, put a report out saying, hey, we have a crisis. We don't know how to make these programs function effectively. And so I connected with them and said, the chambers can do that. We can do interstitial fluid between both businesses and the veterans because, you know, out on the East Coast in Virginia, they have a lot of trade unions. So why can't we do this?
Right.
And the chamber seems to be the natural place to kind of have this connection.
You're the link between the employers, the businesses in the chamber, they're part of the chamber, and those who are looking for employment, or at least even getting developing the skill sets, like you said, almost on-the-job training. Is that
right?
Really, and that's what makes sense for you to be with the chamber and doing this.
Right. It seems to be the easiest connection because we meet both sets, and it's a desirable outcome for the businesses because they are able to they get like 75% of the initial 6 months paid for the on-the-job training.
Wow.
There's quite an incentive for them to participate in these programs, but no one knows about it. No one knows how to access them or utilize them. So we're trying to figure out how to get.
What's the response been from the businesses in the community?
Overwhelming. They're like, oh, this is great. How can we do this?
Why didn't we know about this before?
Right.
Okay.
So,
A lot of
Excellent.
businesses want to hire veterans.
Okay, great. All right, Drew, that's a great program. Thanks for doing that. Now, Sally, we saw in the last package before we came on about Valley Express Auto and towing, and they were committing to helping veterans. So why has the chamber taken on this challenge to encourage businesses to do the same?
Because it's the right thing to do.
Okay, good.
You know, several months ago, I had an opportunity to talk to somebody from Matt Salmon's office and learn more about what's going on in our state with veterans. And at that point, I knew about the housing issue and the initiative that is happening with the city, but I thought there were some missing pieces. And when I started to really think about what those pieces were, it just made sense that the chamber could pull some of our resources, some of our members together to kind of take up those gaps. I did the best thing ever in hiring a veteran to run a veterans program,
Sure.
and it's just kind of taken off from there. So I had the opportunity to talk with Richard after a meeting one day, Richard from Valley Express Towing. And I knew that, you know, when they tow in cars, that they usually auction them off. But I said, do you have to always auction them?
Right.
You know, maybe you would have a couple here and there that you could donate to our program. And he didn't even hesitate. He just said, well, I think I have some on the lot now.
Sure.
And so that's when we kind of, you know, took the next step, had a little contest for some veterans at the Men's Center, and were able to donate a van to the Men's Center and to one of the veterans at the Men's Center the day before Thanksgiving.
Wow, that's pretty special.
It was great timing. It was very, very emotional, but it really made everybody I guess, understand what the meaning of Thanksgiving is.
Oh, sure, good.
Yeah.
And assuming the chamber will continue looking for opportunities with its members to do things like this?
Yeah, I think once we did that, when we realized there are a lot of opportunities like that out there for our members, we've had some great response and great feedback, and I think there are other people that will step up at this point.
Great.
Yeah.
And Drew, you served in the military, and you've seen firsthand the challenge in that transition from military service back into regular life. Some thoughts you have about what's the best things we can do to help veterans that are out there that are looking to that transition? You talked about creating opportunities with businesses. Anything else that we should be aware of as a community, as a chamber, and helping these individuals get back into routine, normal civilian life?
I think again, it just boils down to the economic opportunity that's provided to them, because when you leave the service and you get away from the service, you had a very specific role and you had responsibilities and duties every day, and when you are underemployed or you find some way for you to not meet what you had done before, that it's kind of an ego deflator to some degree.
Sure.
So it's just reminding guys that there's still a value in bringing them back in the community at a high level, and just welcoming them back, and thank you for your service, but then what's the follow on?
Right.
What can we do for you? That kind of a thing.
Excellent, excellent.
We have enough meetings and events that we can invite them to come and be a part of the community and some activities, so they're not just sitting at home trying to figure out what their next step is, but maybe they'll have an opportunity to meet somebody or make a connection that they wouldn't otherwise.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you both for all you're doing to help the veterans and working with the businesses in Mesa. Lily now takes us inside, looking at how one city department is working with the community to help veterans find a home.
Some food, cleaning supplies, and a caring heart is what this department is doing to welcome a veteran into their new home.
So we decided this year that with the Mayor's Challenge that we wanted to do something nice for the holidays and provide some type of basket. With all the donations we got from several employees from the city, we were able to provide a substantial amount of goodies for them, from cleaning supplies, laundry basket, laundry soap, and all sorts of other fun things like a puzzle, notebook, just things that they could use. Well, in housing and community development, we do so much to ensure people have safe and decent housing. But this opportunity we have to just deliver a small basket of items is our way of being able to connect with them on a different level, where we can see them in their homes and be able to just to say thank you for what they've done.
The city has partnered with organizations like Community Bridges to identify and house homeless veterans. Anne-Marie Johnston, a navigator with Community Bridges, does this on a regular basis.
We're just interviewing people. We're looking for homeless vets to try and establish some resources and get them some help, get them off the street, and particularly the ones that don't have the resources yet through the VA.
Partnerships like this is how veteran Doug Benally got off the streets and into a home.
I was homeless for almost 4 years. I had a sleeping bag and clothes and just one pair of clothes, that was it. I'd go to canal, wash my clothes. And Community Bridges first found me, I was in a real bad situation that nobody wanted me. Anne-Marie, what she's done for me. She's got me sober, she's got me happy, she's got me to where I want to live my life till I can live it.
I love giving back. I like helping these people. I like the smile on their face. I have one client that can't believe he can get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and go to his refrigerator and get something to eat. He's like, I just still can't believe it. Pinching myself every day. So it's a good feeling. It's just a good feeling to be able to help these guys.
Helping veterans transition from the streets to homes is what Community Bridges is all about. Joining me now from Community Bridges is Scott Hall. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Now, Scott, before the program started, you gave us your title. So I'm going to let you say, what is your title? Because it tells a lot about what you do. So what is your title?
I'm the Senior Manager for Peer Support and Outreach Services with Community Bridges.
Okay, so that's a long title, but tell us what Community Bridges does. What is the nonprofit Community Bridges main objectives?
Well, Community Bridges, we've been around since 1982 throughout the state, and we are one of the largest medically integrated behavioral health providers in the state. And we have a wide variety of programs. And some of the programs that are under our umbrella are the Navigator programs, peer support programs, outreach programs, and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here to specifically talk about the Mesa program, which is a great opportunity to work closely with a city who has a passion for ending homelessness, which is amazing.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So the mayor took on the challenge to end veterans homelessness in the city of Mesa. He's put together a task force headed up by two of our council members,
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Glover and Councilmember Thompson. And they've talked about this Navigator program. And so tell us a little bit about Community Bridges, how that's part of what your response. I mean, how do you see that as part of what the services you provide? How does that work?
Well, what we've shown is that navigation is one of the key components to not only getting someone off the street, but keeping them off the street. It's one thing to go get somebody, offer them a place to live, but then they go back to homelessness without that support. And with navigation, they are building that relationship from the very beginning. They're the ones outreaching them on the streets or wherever they're at and building that rapport and that relationship, and then helping them find their housing, getting them into their housing, and then supporting them through that process of learning how to stay housed and become successful, and whatever success looks like to them, not to us. We ask them what their success story looks like, and we help them to achieve that. And that navigator stays with them through that whole process.
Okay. So how does Community Bridges find these individuals, these veterans? How do you come to know about the veterans that are out there looking for assistance?
Through a bunch of different ways. Some of the main ways is just plain street outreach, getting out there in the streets, finding homeless people, working collaboratively with the VA and with the American Legion, working with Paz de Cristo, who provide homeless services out there in the communities, and engaging with them right where they're at.
Okay. So I know that there are times when there are veterans who've been out on the streets, not just veterans, but general population. There may be some challenges with mental illness and maybe other emotional and psychological issues. How does Community Bridges, what kind of resources do you have to help out with that?
We have all those resources internally, which makes our navigators really equipped to handle the challenges out there. If somebody is experiencing mental health services, we can take them to our own facilities and get them the help and treatment they need. If they're experiencing substance abuse or co-occurring, we can get them where they need to be. And we're also medically integrated, so even minor medical issues we can take care of, or we get them to the appropriate location they need for that.
Okay, so you have a tremendous amount of services. So we talked about right now, Mesa's been able to help find homes for about 70 veterans in the city. My impression is you all serve a much larger population than even that. Talk about just the vast numbers on an annual basis that you are providing assistance to.
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
I mean, and it continues to grow, especially as the community start buying into the ending homelessness overall. It's one thing to be specific with the veterans who deserve this and need it. It's another thing to really focus on ending homelessness amongst everybody who's homeless.
Sure.
And we're starting to build these collaborations and these networks, just like the City of Mesa. You know, they're putting it in the hands of the nonprofits and the profit organizations to really own this and start ending homelessness in our communities.
Right. So talk about, is it successful? I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. Are you really seeing that once you're able to get an individual into this program and wrap these services around them, is it successful? Are we seeing them return back to, society and being productive?
Great question. Well, when you have a 90% retention rate, which means 90% of the people that get involved into these programs don't go back to the streets, that's tremendous.
That's
success.
huge. Yeah.
And once again, we found that navigation piece was a key component to that, and community buy-in and supplying these supports and the opportunities.
So how's Community Bridges supported? I mean, it sounds like a tremendous amount of resources that are needed to provide those kind of services. So how are you supported? Where do you get your support?
Well, first thing is the support comes from our leadership. Our leadership is all about the maintaining of dignity in human life. So we have that support, and then we go out into the community stuff. So Valley of the Sun has been a great contributor, the Arizona Coalition and Homelessness, the VA, a lot of places we've come to find funding to be able to get a small piece funded here, or a small piece or a big piece funded there. And it's just that true community buy-in that's really helped make this successful. The REBA has been tremendously involved in these things.
Okay. Are there opportunities for individuals to provide financial assistance or other assistance to Community Bridges, and how would they do that?
Absolutely. We have a website, communitybridgesinc.org. You can also contact the City of Mesa. They will direct you on how to donate specifically for the veteran program.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Scott, what have I not asked you that I should have asked you about community bridges? Is there something else that we should know about community bridges?
I think anytime I get the opportunity, I like to talk about who the navigator is.
Okay, let's do that.
The navigator is a person who is in recovery from substance abuse or mental illness or homelessness or PTSD, any of those things, who then take that experience and that passion to be able to work with those clients that we serve. You know, so it's not, we don't take some clinically licensed or anything like that. We get someone who's been there, done that, and those are the ones who deliver those on-hand services to those individuals, which makes a navigator really successful.
So the navigator is someone who's who's walked the same path, and they now have a purpose and a vision in their life to help somebody else.
Yes.
And then they can absolutely provide that relationship and understanding of what it takes to get there.
Yep.
What a great program.
It's absolutely amazing.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you, Scott, for what you do in Community Bridges and for your support in our community.
So, Chris, with the coming year, there's a lot of excitement going on here in Mesa. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the new developments or what Mesa residents can see in this coming new year?
I think there's been a lot of great momentum that started at the end of this year, end of 2015, and it'll move into 2016. We know there's been a lot of exciting things happening out around the Gateway Airport. Eastmark was one of the fastest growing developments in the country.
Yeah.
We expect that to continue, so that's exciting. A lot of people are choosing to move to Mesa. But on the other side of Mesa, even around the Fiesta District, we saw a lot of jobs being created. We had about 1,500 jobs that were announced and created in the Fiesta District. We expect that to continue as we see the mall kind of starting to evolve into more of an office complex and opportunities there. So that's exciting. And of course, downtown with light rail, we hope to see more development and opportunities to bring more businesses and residents into the downtown area. So I think there's a lot of things that we're excited to see moving ahead into the coming year.
And it's probably nice to see those vacant lot areas being filled with new construction, and then the new jobs that you were talking about. A lot of those businesses are repurposing old big box retail areas.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, to see new jobs coming into that part of the city, especially in an area where it's kind of the retail part has obviously slowed down or gone away, and now seeing new activity coming in with these new jobs.
It's probably all that online shopping.
Yes,
Everybody
exactly.
needs to be indoors now.
Exactly.
Well, you know, Chris, we had a great show, and it's great to see what the city is doing in partnership with the community in helping end homelessness for veterans.
That's right, Lily. We want to thank all of our guests who came on our show today. And if you need additional information about what you've seen, you can go online at mesanow.org.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.